it's going to be recorded, and I'm going to record right now, and we have few other people recording, so we should be good. If you have any question during the webinar, please be sure to click on the Q&A session, which is here at the bottom of your screen. We will answer all the questions at the end of the webinar live on the webcam. First, I'm going to say that we have a packed agenda, so it's going to go really, really quick today. We have first an executive update, then we will have demo of the latest Viz, demo of how to add maps. We will have an update on the analytic platform. We will have also a demo on data visualization, guided tour, and so on and so on. So a lot of things to see. You will see also new feature of 6.0. So it's going to be very, very cool. First, we have an analytic executive update. We are our VP of product strategy coming today. So I'm really glad to have Joey. And Joey, you can take it from here.
Thanks, Ben, and thanks everybody for spending time with us. It's wonderful that we're able to engage with you. These are always lightning fast sessions that get right to the point and show you a bunch of great demos. So I won't get in the way of that, but I did want to call out just a couple of things. If we go to the next slide there, Ben. So we have an Oracle Analytics Summit coming up later this year. We haven't announced the dates yet, but for our customers and partners who are joining today, we look forward to partnering with you on that. If you have interest in how you may be able to participate and tell your story, we'd love to hear from you. So feel free to reach out to us and we can start those conversations early. And I also want to give a teaser on the MIT Sports Analytics Conference. This is coming up April 8th and 9th. And we just recorded the session. We have some good news to share there, and it's a very exciting sports analytics conference. I thought I'd give you a brief preview, and then everyone can jump into the rest of the agenda today. You're going to see great stuff throughout the day with some great demos. So with that, I'll leave it, Ben, for the next slide.
Perfect. Thanks, Joey. I'm going to move to the next slide right now. Excellent. Thank you very much, Joey, for showing that today. I'm going to move to the next slide. We are going to look at the product strategy for Oracle Analytics. Really a quick update. My name is Ben. I'm Senior Director of Product Strategy for Oracle Analytics. Similar to some of you, I was a customer before. For 15 years, I have been using Tableau, Power BI, but most importantly, Oracle Analytics Cloud. And today we are going to review some of the top features and strategy. First, I'm going to ask you to answer a poll. I'm going to run the poll right now. We would like to know if you are using Oracle Analytics Cloud or OBIE or Oracle Analytics Server at your company. So I'm going to move on, but feel free to answer the poll. I want to say also a big thank you to all the Oracle Analytics leaders. We have Vamsi from Hertz, we have Rob from Kaiser Permanente, Cyril from Delta Airlines, Alex and Mike from FedEx, Sahil from City of San Francisco, and many others. 2020 has been a year for Oracle Analytics, which has been amazing. It has been skyrocketing. 2021 is going to be even better. We have more and more Oracle Analytics leaders. If you use Oracle Analytics in your company and you want to be an Oracle Analytics leader, feel free to contact us. Also, thank you so much for going to Gartner Peer Insight website and for providing your product review for Oracle Analytics. We just got the badge for customer first, which means that we really listen to our customer and we collect all the feedback. So again, if you are willing to go inside Oracle Gartner Peer Insight, if you are a customer, a user, and put a review, thank you so much. It's going to help us. Any good reviews are welcome. So again, thank you so much. And what I will do is to run a poll. I know sometimes it's taking 5 minutes to take a review, but sometimes you have questions on how you can do this type of reviews. So if you are willing to do a review for us, say yes, and maybe Brandon will contact you to explain you how to do it. And again, it's really helping us to become the product and getting our choice award. So again, thank you so much. I'm going to wait a little bit and move on to the next slide. So as you know, Oracle Cloud is the next generation of cloud. We see more and more articles from different journalists telling us that our cloud is the fastest, the most secure cloud. We are offering AI, data, analytic, and cloud services for everybody. Today, we are going to focus on the analytic stack, which is in blue. But remember, most of the users are using an autonomous data warehouse, using our leader ERP, HCM products, also digital assistant, low code, and most importantly, OCI, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, which is right now skyrocketing. So again, thank you so much. You know that we have a lot of different products to help you. We have also a new autonomous data warehouse. It has been launched yesterday. Now it's not just a data warehouse, it's really a data platform. You can load data, transform data, do all the business modeling, get data insight, graph analysis, spatial analysis, machine learning, low code, and autonomous data warehouse from Oracle is fully integrated with Oracle Analytics Cloud. So again, thanks so much for using it. We have a lot of customers giving us a lot of feedback and it's working well. We have also 3 products for analytics. We have Oracle Analytics Cloud. It's our flagship product. Most of Fortune 500 companies are using it, like HSBC, Delta Airline, MetLife, and others. We have also Oracle Analytics Server, the same as Oracle Analytics Cloud, but on-prem in your data center. We have also Oracle Fusion Analytics Warehouse, which is our top new managed augmented analytics product. And today we have Ash, which is going to demo it again. Moving fast to the other slide, I wanted to show you that it's more than just a data visualization tool like Power BI or Tableau. We are doing data preparation, data enrichment, data flow, machine learning, automated insight, NLP, NLG, mobile analytics, and Jacques is going to present the mobile analytic app, a preview today. It's self-upgrading, self-patching, self-securing. You don't have to have an IT army of people to manage it. We do it for you. Oracle Analytics Server, if you are using OBIEE and paying for a support agreement, Oracle Analytics Server, you can upgrade to it at no cost. And guess what? We have a new version yesterday, which is version 5.9. And basically, you can use this new version to install it on-prem on your data center. We have also Fusion Analytics Warehouse. Fusion Analytics Warehouse, it's really a bundle. We take care of the data pipeline for you. We load all the data from Fusion ERP, Fusion HCM for you into an autonomous data warehouse that we set up for you. And then we create an instance of Oracle Analytics. And after doing that, automatically we create the dashboard, the drill down. Your VP, your CIO, your CFO can go to a standardized view and drill down into any KPI. You can put target on the KPI. It's booming right now. Most of customers using ERP Cloud, HCM Cloud are moving to Fusion Analytics Warehouse. Again, we have a demo right now, so stay tuned. This is a little preview of all the features that we are going to release under Safe Harbor with 6.0. We are going to show you today a preview of multi-table dataset and also maybe a preview of hierarchy navigation. But we have way more things to come this year with 6.0. We will have Joe Fitz and TK Anand speaking about what are all these new features at the next Oracle Live, which is in April 26. So again, stay tuned, join this event. It's like a keynote, it's going to be huge, and you will see way more surprises. I'm going to show you a quick live preview, and then Barry is going to show you a little bit more. What I wanted to show you today is different thing. First, it's the latest Oracle Analytic Innovation Industry Lab. I created a data viz, and some people ask me, how do I put these different charts into the right side of the data viz? So I'm going to show that really quick as a tip and trick. I put, for example, a specific photo here, but you see that the line are not connecting to the dot. So you can go at the bottom of the screen, click, for example, on canvas properties, and automatically you can put a canvas properties to change from auto fit to freeform. And when you go to freeform, now you have almost like PowerPoint, the ability to move object everywhere you want. I can put the logo here, and I can put, most importantly, the graph here, and put it exactly on the line. I can put that one also, put it more on the line here. So the blue dot, it's connected to the robot, and we understand a little bit more the correlation between the speed and the part of the robot. And you can also change directly to a specific view. I can take, for example, this type, or I can put any type of view that I want. For example, even like a waterfall view. So that it's really quick. Now I got a second question from people. How do I change the map here to a Google view or Google map or any web tile map? So you can go to an overview here in Oracle Analytic. You can click on console. In console, you can go to map. In map, you can go to background. And in background, you can add a new background and select tile web map. And in tile web map, you can basically put the Google URL for Google satellite view here. And I will put, for example, Google Sat. I can click on I agree, it's a trusted URL. I will just refresh this specific view for you. And now what's going to happen, I will just go back to the same dashboard with a spot from Boston Dynamic robot and Faro scanner. And now I'm just going to click on the map here, and I'm going to see if I can find my Google satellite view map. And I will click here, and automatically I can see Google satellite. I can go also a little bit down here and see Google Sat, the new one that I loaded. And now it's going to move from the normal Mapbox map to the Google satellite, and I can zoom and see a little bit more detail on where is the Oracle Analytic Industry Lab. Okay, so that it's really cool, it's really quick. I'm going to go back to the main presentation, and now I'm going to pass the end to Barry. Barry, thanks for joining today.
Thanks, Ben. Let's go to the next screen. My name is Barry Mostert. I'm with the product marketing group, and I'll take you through a couple of slides, and I'm going to show you some more inside the product itself. Let's start with the platform. So here we're looking at Oracle Analytics in the wider kind of view of the world. So we want to make sure that we have a unified and integrated platform from all the data sources right the way through to the consumers on the right-hand side here. And we want to make sure we leave no data behind. So you can see we have a bunch of native data sources already built into the product, including things like Snowflake, Salesforce. And in the coming versions, we've actually got JDBC connectors to make sure that we actually leave no data behind. And then we're going to be able to integrate that data so we can get a consolidated single view that we can then put into a semantic layer that we can share with everybody else in the organization to get that single version of the truth. And as an option, we can put in the autonomous data warehouse, which Ben introduced to you in the center here, which is an easily business administrated kind of data store. The name can be misleading because you don't need any IT or DBAs to kind of administrate the ADW. You can actually, as a business user, spin these up and use your Oracle Analytics Cloud with some data flows to be able to load some of your data in there. And what that really does is it frees you from having to go to Excel or the limitations of Excel. Excel has a finite number of row limits and so forth that people struggle with. So now instead you could use data flows, bring data from all these different sources, consolidate it, prepare it, enrich it, and then push it into ADW, and then you can use that entire data set, share it, collaborate with it through these visual interfaces that you're looking at today, or via mobile, which Jacques will show you later on. And on the final point I'll make here is that we really do cover abilities and interfaces for all roles within the organization, whether you're a business user in one of the business groups, or if you're a data scientist, there are interfaces for you. We have machine learning for clickers, so you don't have to worry about any kind of coding. And we have machine learning for those kind of guys that want to get in and do Python or R programming and then share and publish those models back to those business users. We have everything in there, including interfaces for the developers. So that's our kind of wider portfolio of analytics in this integrated structure. Next slide, please. And if we look at the analytics platform, Oracle Analytics Cloud itself, we come in 3 waves. We don't neglect the governed analytics. This is still a required way of doing the centralized building of standardized reports and dashboards that IT might build and push out. You otherwise know these as parameterized dashboards. Pixel perfect reports, those are going to be built centrally. You need somebody that's doing the governance around the semantic model. Now, what that really means is they are ensuring that when you report a beta, it doesn't matter where and which report or which business group are reporting on it, you're always going to get the same value. Or if you're looking at the customer dimension and which customers we have, it's going to be consistent whether you're looking at it in marketing or in finance. So we make sure we have that governed kind of wave. But we don't also neglect the self-service. We have that included. Now that's where you have this kind of modern aspect where business users go in and access the data and pull the data that they need from wherever it might lie. And this is where you have business self-service data preparation, storytelling, and actually constructing their own visuals, which is what we're going to show you in a lot throughout this webcast. And finally, we have this new approach of augmented analytics, where we start to integrate our information through voice and chatbots, natural language query, natural language generation, which we'll show you a lot today as well. Also with augmented, it really boosts users' productivity, reducing the number of clicks to enrich your data. You also don't have to now jump out to different tools to be able to extend your data sets. Instead, with few single clicks, you can increase your data set. If you only had zip code, but you wanted to have longitude and latitude to start plotting these things on a map, it's just click and click. Or if you had credit card numbers that are visible, you want to obfuscate those, simple clicks can quickly help you hide those numbers there too. So everything built in a cohesive, single, unified platform. Thanks, Ben. Next, I'm actually going to show you a few things. So I'll share my screen and then I'm going to take you through a few dashboards here, just to show you what kind of a final product might look like. So here we're starting with a kind of classic dashboard with some tiles on the front here with some spark lines. And you know, the interface to drive these is not unlike any other tools. It's very easy. If I'm looking at revenue and I wanted to add previous year revenue, I can just drag it on and drop it right here once it reacts. Oh, it's not doing its thing. Hang on. Oh, well, it did month. So here we go. You can also click and it's all interactive. As I click on the different charts, you can see the other charts will highlight what values are contributing to this particular value that I've selected. But, you know, we want to get you away from thinking about these classic dashboards. This is what everyone's mind starts to think about when you come to dashboard is, you know, a bunch of charts and diagrams and numbers on a thing with some KPIs. But really, we can start to look at other options you have here. Let's start looking at putting data on things that are more appropriate for what you're trying to report. Here we're looking at a shop floor for a supermarket. And here you can see the foot traffic as it's been navigating through. And as I click on the different time frames here, it will actually start to highlight the different foot traffic points for those different things from the morning at 6 a.m. to 9 to 10 a.m. You can see the supermarkets are less busy around then. And then around 3 p.m. it starts to get a little bit more interesting. And you know, for these kind of modern times and this post-pandemic kind of social distancing things, this is a really good way to kind of look at your data, and we can start to see the congestion that you kind of get around the checkout area. And you can see that the red areas indicate things that we need to do to address issues around social distancing. So just another way to think of your data that's more in context of what you want to look at. In this one here, I've got predictive values, and simply here I can see some revenue coming in by streams. And when I look at the predictions, I can actually see that the sales numbers here are peaking and troughing over the different years. So we can see we sell more in summer. So with this predictions, these are the revenue predictions for the next few quarters. I can actually see I've predicted the next 3 periods. And I've chosen the seasonal ARIMA because we've got a few built in. I know my sales data goes in peaks and troughs, so I've chosen the seasonal ARIMA. But we do have ARIMA and ETS built in. So here is users doing this clicker's ability to use machine learning on predictions and clustering. Down here, I can actually highlight the clusters. And again, it shows me which points are contributing to that particular cluster of sales. On the natural language generation, to create this is kind of easy. I just need to simply duplicate this chart here. And if I wanted to create it, natural language generation is treated like any other class of object. I just need to change it using the chart selection, and boom, there we go. So we can add those narratives directly in without having to think about writing these out ourselves. And the narratives themselves are easily controlled. You can choose the level of detail, how the verbose you want it to be. I can choose that. I can choose whether it's a trend description or a breakdown. Next one along, we're starting to get into some more interesting kind of things. Here I'm looking at a graph analytics, and you can see this is completely interactive. As I move in, I can actually grab any of the nodes and look at the sectors and things and the vectors. So, and on the left, if I choose from my list here, I can start to choose different rows, and it'll show me the connections between those as I can see them working through here. Now, the way to get this, of course, you need the graph backend, but if I look at how this came about, if I select on here, I can see this one has been chosen through a plugin. So we do have an extensibility option. So if you don't have the graphic that's built in these kind of gray options here for your business, of course, every business is going to need something special. You have an interface where you can bring in any kind of plugin you want. And Brendan's going to show you a lot more of this just after me. So I'll leave that for him. Next up, these infographics are a real popular way of doing things and presenting information to your customers. So here we've actually created an infographic within OAC connected to all your data sources. And while it's in this mode, it's completely interactive. As I hover over the different countries and click, I can see the different values. I can see the charts here within the wine glasses. I can probably create something showing the blends of the grapes within these glasses and click and see how they came about. All interactive. But at that point, once you've got your infographic done, I can actually go to export these, and I can send it to a PDF or PowerPoint, which is an option. And what I will do when I get that done, I have it prepared for you, is here it is in Acrobat Reader. So now it's lost its interactivity, but now it's a PDF. Or you can save this as a PNG for publication in your website or for email to your customers. And as I scroll down, you can see this is a perfectly created infographic, all ready to go. And my last thing I'm going to show you is this one here, which is just the ability for Ben started to show you a little bit about how you can use freeform and edit and customize the charts. But really, there's a lot of ability to customize the way that this thing looks and feels so that it can fit into your library, the way that your business has decided to use colors and layout. And while these are all interactive, you can start to think about embedding these objects back into your system so that they can carry this kind of purple look and feel back through to your own system. And that's about what I'm going to cover today. So thank you for that, and I'll pass it on to Brendan.
Perfect. Thanks, Barry. And today we are receiving Brendan. Brendan is going to do a live guided tour of Oracle Analytics Cloud. So Brendan, you can take it from here.
Awesome. Thanks, Ben. Let me share my screen. So as Ben mentioned, I'll be providing and Ben, can you confirm that you are seeing my screen before I go?
Yes.
Cool. As Ben mentioned, I'll be providing a guided product tour within OAC. So I really want to show some different experiences within the tool itself. And first, we'll start from the home screen, and I want to show how quickly it is to really access reports that are most meaningful to you. So as you're seeing from the natural language query in the search bar, I can go ahead and I can search for past projects, reports, data connections, and data flows. So I know last month I showed a crypto analysis. So easily just being able to search from my reports and going ahead and finding them right there from the home screen. But actually heading back to the home screen, I also want to show some of the governance that Barry was mentioning. So earlier today, I created a different analysis of global sales, but I want to make sure that my colleagues who need to see these reports can access them based off their specific roles. So what I'm going to do is click the hamburger menu and click inspect on this specific data set. First, what I'll do is I'm the owner of this data set. I'm going to certify that this is the correct data set we should be using going forward, so that all my colleagues and teammates know that this is the true data point to use. I'm really aligning with that data governance aspect. But now I want to make sure that Ben and Barry have access to this data set based off their roles. So first I'll find Barry, and also I'll add Ben in really quick as well. So any of my users that are already in the system and have roles applied, I can quickly search for their names and apply their roles. So for this case, I think it's applicable that they both only have read-write access, and I'll keep the full control when it comes to this data set. And I'll save those permissions so that they can access it later on. Now going to our actual project itself, I can also share this to my specific team. Currently it's in my own folder, but by going to the move to, I can go ahead and I can share it to any of the shared folders that are out there, or my colleagues can access it later on. This will move all the data connections as well as the report itself to that shared folder. Now, some of the other navigation that I want to share, Ben mentioned the custom maps. So I'm actually going to show how to go about doing that. I'm going to define them as well. So heading to our console, you'll see a bunch of different of the options and focusing on maps for this first case. First, you're going to see that there's the map backgrounds as well as the image backgrounds. Now, the map backgrounds are really the backgrounds that Ben shared with the Google satellites, the type of backgrounds that you'd find online just by Google searching. But the image backgrounds, these are the custom ones that you can bring in yourself, kind of similar to the show floor plan that the store floor plan that Barry showed. So I'll actually show an example of how he brought that in and was able to leverage it for analysis. So let me just quickly bring in my JPEG. It can also bring in JSON files as well, or JPEGs rather. So now that I've just saved this and added it as an image background, what I can do now, by again going to the right side of the options, I can create an actual map layer on top of this. This will allow me, as now we're seeing our map floor, I can draw different polygons outlining the specific areas of my store. And once I connect them, it'll be key that I rename each of these polygons. So let me map these perfectly to the rectangle. And what I'll do with my data set is I'll map my data points back to A1. So anything that was specials or dry goods, I can map that data to the exact location of the store plan itself. Now, if I have more circular rectangle data points in here, I can again go ahead and start drawing those polygons right then and there on. Additionally, I'll share two different examples of our Oracle Analytics library. Now, if you have any specific geomap layers that aren't out of the box that you do need, our Oracle Analytics library is a key resource with a lot of additional plugins that you can bring in when it comes to geomap layers. So just to quickly scroll through what is already out there. Now I'll head back to our console. And now I'm going to show extensions. As Barry mentioned, he showed the network chart. So I'm actually going to show how to go about bringing in extensions. And again, this is great for really furthering your analysis that much further. As OAC has a lot of different visualization types out of the box, it's important to know that our community is also creating multiple different visualizations through things like D3.js type visualization types. So you can come to, again, our Oracle Analytics library and head to the extensions tab, and you'll see a plethora of different visualization types that you can download and bring in. So for instance, I'll bring in the custom data actions. All I need to do really is download and accept the licensing agreement. And then the zipped file will start to download into my local file itself. And all I'll need to do is head back to that extensions tab within the console and upload the zipped file, either by dragging and dropping it in or just double clicking. And once I refresh my browser, this will be a brand new visualization extension that I can start leveraging within my analyses going forward. So as you see, I've already brought in a lot of the other ones, and I can really expand upon my analysis using them. You'll see them in the system itself. There'll be icons that are more colored in, while the rest of the out of the box are gray. The last thing that I do want to hit when it comes to a product tour and navigating throughout OAC is the Academy. Now, while we left the library, we're going to go to the Academy now. And what the Academy is great for is it's really providing our users that in-product training that they're looking for. So this is a great resource to come to when you're looking to answer your questions, really around connecting to data sources, creating the visualizations, or if you're looking to do more on the analysis or dashboards or BI publisher side, we have a lot more of documentation and resources there available as well. And do know that all these are connected to a live connection to our docs.oracle page. So it'll be continuously updated with the most fresh content. Now, Ben, I'll hand it back to you as that concludes my product tour.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Brandon. I'm going to share again my screen really quick just to make the transition. If you want to contact Brandon, you can go to LinkedIn and connect directly with him, or you can also send an email, or you will receive a follow-up email after this webinar with the email of all the participants. Now we are going to have a demo of Oracle Analytic Fusion Warehouse and Fusion Analytic Warehouse with Ash Bashke. So Ash is our Senior Director of Product Management, and he's going to show you exactly what is Oracle Analytic and Fusion Analytic Warehouse. Thanks, Ash. You can take it from here.
All right. Thank you, Ben. Can you stop sharing? Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, so I think as Ben previously mentioned, Fusion Analytics Warehouse is our pre-packaged turnkey application, purpose-built for Oracle Cloud Application Data Sources. And really our primary goal is to provide 360-degree insights across the enterprise. Now, Fusion ERP Analytics is part of the FAW family, and so far we have been focused on really providing insights on core finance, right? But today we are announcing availability of spend and expense analytics as part of Fusion ERP. In fact, we just had a release which went out this morning, so our customers have access to this capability as of today. Now, the CPOs, the Chief Procurement Officers, the Chief Finance Officers, they keep a close watch on the organization spend, the enterprise spend, and they also want to observe the source to settle process and operational efficiency. That's really top of mind for that. I think we have reached a significant milestone in terms of our ability to serve them starting today. We have three specific goals when we talk about spend and expense analytics. Number one, we want to make it easy to understand the direct, indirect, and service spend across the enterprise. And this is for category managers to find opportunities to consolidate, to renegotiate contracts. Number two, we want to help optimize the efficiency of source to settle business process. This is for our buyers, the category managers, or even shared services teams. There are AP teams which are part of shared services organizations generally. And number three, we want to provide tools to help better understand the enterprise risk, right? And provide actionable insights to drive governance, to shape policies. So this is also going to help with that. Now, I'm going to show you a very quick demo so you can get a feel of what I'm talking about. Now, this demo is going to go really fast. So let me give you some context first. What you see here, try to slip into the role of a procurement executive or a category manager. And what you see here, we're starting off with the top level KPIs that procurement executives care about, right? So you have total spend, addressable spend, contract leakage. This is what we define as sort of the RUG spend that you have. And this is what is highlighting the opportunity for the procurement organization to influence. So let me start up the demo. We will essentially look at the spend for a specific category called hardware. We'll try to understand where is the contract leakage and what's the opportunity for optimization. And then we'll dive into employee expense related spend as well and try to understand what's going on there too. So when we start off, what you see is the top level metrics and KPIs we talked about. We're going to dive into the spend analysis. This is where you start to see a view of what is the spend across different categories, who are your top suppliers. We are interested in looking at the hardware spend, so we select that. And once you do that, then I start to see more details on the hardware spend, specifically what's going on. Now, you can see half the spend there is related to laptops. When I go into off-contract spend, that's where I start to see more details on the off-contract spend. Top right, you see that, but most of that spend is associated with laptops. And in China, when I select that, I get to see more details. Now, we can dissect this even further and go to the item levels as to, at a really transaction grain, where is this spend associated with? What is this associated with? So I can see on the top left, the biggest spend is around a specific category of laptop, I can get into the invoice level details to understand what's going on there. Now, one more thing that's very powerful with FAW is you can extend to third-party sources. Here on this visual, what you will see is I'm pulling in the corporate social responsibility ratings for my suppliers and try to match that up with the spend to figure out, do I have suppliers who share the same values from a CSR standpoint that I have as an organization, right? So this is to help understand what is the risk to my brand coming out of my supplier base. So you can do that analysis and figure out, do you have the right partnerships in place? Now, the third element that we'll do is look into the employee expenses. This is based on the expense reports that have been filed by our employee base. You can look at all the spend insights around employee expenses. You know, what are the different cost centers? What are the categories managers? I select a specific cost center to understand for that cost center what's going on. And I also have violations, you know, how many of these expense reports are going on audit, so on and so forth. Now, last element, we go into AP related insights where we can see what's going on with our suppliers, what's the overdue amount, how many invoices are overdue, and then I can do an analysis of which of these invoices are going on hold for what reason, right? So I can improve the efficiency of my processes, right? Or understand supplier satisfaction issues. And then I can go to the detailed transaction grain to understand what are these invoices and really get to all the details. So this is just a very quick tour, but as you can see, you know, you are really getting a fairly robust capability here to address the needs of procurement and finance. And this is just a starting point. We plan to beef it up in future releases by adding more and more content for our CP organization. So I'll stop sharing here, and Ben, I'll hand it back to you.
Perfect. Thanks, Ash. It was really cool. And again, for all the customers, the users, if at your company you are using Fusion HCM Cloud, Fusion ERP Cloud, or in the future, Fusion SCM Cloud and CX, and even NetSuite, you have a way to just get Oracle Analytics prepackaged with dashboard, KPI, data pipeline, reconciliation tool, validation tool, without doing anything. Oracle is managing everything for you. So if you want this solution for your VP, it's ready and you can contact Ash or Oracle at any time. So I'm going to move to the next section that is awaited by a lot of people today. It's the Oracle Analytics OAC 6.0 preview. This version is the next version of Oracle Analytics Cloud. And today we have one of our top senior director, Brett Greenslad, which is going to introduce you to this feature. So Brett, nice to have you today.
Thank you. I'll start sharing here. Everyone can hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, sounds good. And actually, Ben promised something I did want to show, which is the expandable hierarchies. Unfortunately, my EPM connection this morning is not working. So I'm going to actually just show a picture of what it'll look like. It was taken from a current build. So this is the kind of concept. If you have a subject area or EPM, and you have or S-base, and you have these hierarchies, you'll be able to show them the way you would expect to in DV. So this is a nice improvement I think a lot of people have been looking for. So this is an example of what this would look like. So let me get back to the rest of the demo. So the first thing I want to show you is kind of some of the things we're doing in multi-table data sets. So if you've used DV before, you'll know that data sets generally are created kind of one at a time. So let me show you what a project might look like. I just have a project here. It looks like a pretty normal DV project, but you'll notice on the side here that now I have folders, and this is not coming from a subject area. This is actually coming from a data set. So there's different elements that I can connect together. And before, we might have to do something like run a data flow or have a subject area, more complex kind of way to build that. Now you can build these in what we call a multi-table data set. And what it is in pretty simple terms is it allows you to directly control the joins. So like in this case, we have sales, customers, products coming from one schema. One nice thing is that the way the analytics engine works is that, if these are all coming from the same data connection, then we'll function ship all those queries down to the source for live queries and do all the processing in the database, which really makes it easier for you to do these larger data kind of like data sets as kind of lightweight data models. And then a few other things to make this a little easier for you. Let me just show you a couple of things here. You have full control over the joins, so you can control the join types. And this is much more of like a SQL join. So think of this maybe a little differently than blending. This is really going to be kind of a join that's going to happen at a lower level in the system, kind of more of a physical join. And because you don't have something like a data flow in this case, sometimes you might have a problem. In this case, I have my join working because these data types are the same, but let me just show you an example. If I went into the customers here, you'll notice that I can prepare the data for each table kind of independently. So this is a normal kind of data preparation experience. You'll see the new quality insights that some of you may have seen in other demos. This is part of the multi-table data sets feature as well. And it can apply to Excel files and other types of uploads. But I don't have to do a data flow or something to be able to improve my join. So I can do something like simply go in here. I can split this column. Imagine this column was the customer ID, but it came from a different part of the system that had a different format. In this case, has a character at the beginning. I can just take do something like trim it by the position here. And now I'm maybe creating a second column here that has this as a number in this case, as you'll see. And so if I added that step, I could use this in the join at that point. So I guess I messed it up because I trimmed too many characters, but the point is you can do these data preparation steps and then still use them in the joins. You don't have to go to a data flow or something like that to tweak the data. You can do it right in the data set. One other feature, I think we may have shown this before, but I'll just call it out again. You can also do with these quality insights, you can also make changes directly in the data set itself. Within the editor, you don't have to go again to like a data flow or something like that. You can just go here. Let's say we want to have, I may have already fixed, oh, here we go. I have married here with different case. Let's say, for example, we just want that to look a little cleaner on the reports. So maybe what I'll do is I'll just come in here and I will change this M to lowercase, and then that'll be applied as a step in the process. Let me show you one more feature, which I'll go back here to the console. So I'm trying to get through 3 or 4 features here in this short amount of time, just to give you guys an idea of what's coming. The other thing we've added is in this area of reference knowledge, you can upload your own information. So you guys know for a while, we've had some things that may or may not be that useful to you, but we've had them in the past for enrichments. Now you can add your own information. In this case, I uploaded some information about sales teams. And how would I use that? So if I go into the same data model, and then this is the country table. And what I'll notice is that for this column, I have this enrichment here that's called sales team. This is not coming from the system. This is something I uploaded as an administrator. And so let's say maybe we have an Excel file that manages how we're mapping different groups together. And so I can just add this enrichment. And now my data model will have these as part of the data model without having to go through joins or try to find those tables in a different part of the different schema. So that's a nice, easy way to just add some enrichments to your data sets. We typically talk about things like maybe if you have like complex product identifiers, if you have something like maybe we talk about drug names, there's all kinds of scenarios. We'd be interested in what you might try to use it for. At that point, now I've saved that data set out and I will have that analysis available in my chart. And then let's see. One other thing I want to show, at this point, I would have these, if you look in the countries here, I would have these, the region names over here. And actually, let me move on to the next part of the demo because it's a little hard to demo that part. I do want to show one more thing I thought was, because I didn't get to show the hierarchies, I wanted to show one more thing that's really cool. We talked about it earlier. I think we saw some of the demos around having graph analytics. So this would be an example of maybe a map that we have that has a bunch of airports. So this is a large set of airport data. A couple things I want to show here is now we have the ability to add map layers that are not joined together. So you'll notice if you're used to using DV, this means the elements above are joined. The elements here below are just a file uploaded and there's no join there. So in a map, I can add a layer And I can just pull something like the, in this layer, I can pull the city. And what you're seeing here is I'll have a whole different layer for the, that's basically it's doing the join graphically. Let's see, I might have a different, let's see if I have a different one that already has this kind of laid out. Okay, here we go. So that you can kind of see that I have the joins added there. And so what's happening is that the airport itself, that's a hub, is coming from a different layer. And so the other thing I wanted to show you is we have new graph analytics capabilities. So let's say I wanted to figure out something like the shortest flight between something like, in this case, I'm doing Albany to St. Louis, just as an example, since I had no idea how to get there. And so if you look at this chart, you'll see something like, I think Albany is up here. These are the hubs that are near it. And I think St. Louis is right there. Here's the hubs that are near it. So it's not obvious what the shortest path would be. So what I did is I created a data flow. Let me just go to the home page here. So what I did is I created a data flow that would let us map the shortest path. So let me just open this. And so I brought in that data set, and we have a new node here called Graph Analytics. So on this Graph Analytics, I added the Graph Analytics, and I decided that I would use the distance measure. And the interesting one is I also did a second one that I won't show you today, where I changed it from distance, I changed it to elapsed time, and you actually get a different airport if you want to go a shorter time. And that's due to things like layovers and flight issues and things like that, or weather. And then what that does, once I run this data flow, it takes a couple minutes to run. So I will just run that in the background really quick. But I already have the data here, so I'll just show you. What it does is it gives you this new set of information that will show you what the shortest path is. And it's a little hard to see in my screen here, probably because of my resolution. But you'll see that what it calculates is that Cleveland is actually the shortest route between Albany and St. Louis. However, in the data set I have, because of the weather conditions, it actually turns out that Midway Airport is actually shorter elapsed time. And so that's a lot of complex calculations. I think in the calculations were something like maybe several thousand different combinations that it applied in that data flow, and then identified that shortest path for me. And then one final thing, and then I'll close out. I'll go back to the homepage here. The other thing I was thinking about is how would I know what's a hub airport in our system? So I went ahead and used another graph analytics to calculate the airports by rank. And this is using like a PageRank algorithm, that same kind of data flow. I just wanted to say, what's the source and destination, and then show me the top airports by the number of connections. And that includes all the different flights, not just the number of connections it has, but how many flights are coming in and out. And it's probably the ones we'd expect, like Atlanta, Dallas, Chicago. These are the top ones by rank. And so this is actually using the PageRank algorithm. So that just gives you an idea of some of the cool stuff that's coming in the next release. And we have more improvements that are coming.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Brett. I'm going to share the screen again. And if you want to contact Brett, same thing as usual, you go on LinkedIn. You can also contact him by email. He can do like some private demo to your company if you need. We are going to move to the next one. It's the mobile analytic demo. Today, we are going to have Jacques Vigeant, which is going to do a preview of what is the new Oracle Analytic mobile app, which is going to come in the coming month. So you can take it from here, Jacques.
Great. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, perfectly.
Okay, let me share my screen. So I'm actually going to share my whole screen for a reason. I know it'll probably seem a little bit small to a lot of you, but in a tablet. A new mobile app that we're simply calling Oracle Analytics. Oops. Are you all still there?
Yeah, we are here, but we lost your screen.
Zoom crashed, so I'm going to try that again.
Okay, no worry.
Can you see my screen now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can see the screen. The apps are a
That's
little
not
bit
my
small
video.
on your screen.
Okay, perfect. So what I was saying before I realized I was crashing was that we're introducing next month, hopefully, the new companion app to Oracle Analytics. It's going to simply be called Oracle Analytics in the app stores. And the intent for this app is truly simply to allow your users to do the most straightforward thing, which is connect to your OAC instance, look and search for the content that they're used to looking at, open, interact, and feel very familiar, but have a pleasant, fast, fluid mobile experience while they're at it. So on my left here, I've got my tablet, and on the right, I've got my phone. We're connected to my same old server. So you can see that it's organized in really sort of simple fashion. I've got tabs at the top with my recents, my favorites. I'll try to do both hands at the same time, my projects. If I'm an administrator, and have elevated privileges, I can actually author content on the go on my device. So I have access, again, your consumers may not have access to this data set tab, but given that I'm more or less a super user here, I can actually create content on the go. I can upload a data set from my phone directly to OAC. We're not going
Jack,
to...
we have a question. Is it possible to put the tool app a little bit bigger for the audience? Because we see your huge screen, but the app are a little bit small.
I'll try. I'll give it a try. The
cool.
resolution kind of...
looks good.
Downgrades a little bit, but is that a little bit better?
Yeah, way better.
Okay, cool. So as I was saying, so data sets is for somebody who's got elevated privileges, because not everybody wants to create stuff on the go. And then reports is more the classic content. So if I wanted to access some answers, reports, and dashboards, I could open them. They're pretty much the same experience you get today, given some of the limitations of the classic platform when it comes to sort of mobile architectures. Where it becomes more interesting, and again, the search is across everything. So here, if I search for FIFA, I think there's a project called FIFA. There you go. I can search for that, and it'll find either DV projects, classic content, and so forth. But let me give you a sense for why we built this. And I'm going to open some first-class data visualization here. I'll open a simple one, which we call the all charts demo. This is just to show the breadth and the breadth and the depth of the types of visualizations that we support. My server seems really slow right now, but I think you'll get a sense for it. The idea here is that any sort of viz that you've created on the desktop will show up pretty much in the same layout that you've done it on the desktop when you're on a tablet. On a phone, we sort of do what we call an adaptive layout, where you can see sort of one chart in full screen and then switch to one of the other ones using sort of the chart switching tray. Everything's nice and interactive. You've got your prompts now. I think I showed this a couple of months ago and we didn't have prompts enabled. So here you can see that I can prompt away. So the interaction model, you know, the goal, you're probably seeing this and it's got, oh yeah, it's no big deal. It's pretty straightforward. That's the point, is for it to be super simple, super straightforward for your users to see. We went through a lot of effort to support all the most common visualization types, of course, pies and so forth. But we went above and beyond when it came time to supporting things like, we know a lot of people have an affinity towards charts, and it's actually amusing because the development team, you know, is bored or is not, that's not their favorite chart type, I should say. But we really went through a lot of effort to make sure that we supported these different visualizations in a super fluid way on the mobile devices, because we know how important things like you know, tables and pivots are for the end users. A couple of niceties in regards to the app. Again, we automatically will lay it out based on the orientation of your device. I'm going to pick up my phone here, And I'm going to say to the phone, because some people really want to see the original layout, but even when they're on their phone, they can actually look at the original project layout here, but on their phone. And I'm going to switch the orientation and move my window, which now should explain to you why I was holding it the way I was holding it, or why it was zoomed out a certain way. But now you can actually see it the way the author intended on the mobile device, on the desktop, I should say. Again, you can tap and do all the interactions that you would expect. We did a couple of niceties where we allow you to hit the insights button, where it'll show you your top values, your lowest values. It'll also show you a narrative of the chart. So here it shows that the data has a total of 6 products. When taken together, the 6 products total a certain value, which is even easier.
The data shows the units sold for a total.
Is even easier if you go ahead and hit the narration button. Lastly, I know I'm catching up or getting up on the final sort of time. I wanted to show, let me move my phone out of the way here. This is one of Ben's favorite projects. I think he's shown it to you before. I did want to show you, so when you're on your tablet here, you can actually tap and say, hey, I want to actually open this one on my PC here. So I'm going to go ahead and go from my phone, and it's going to go ahead and open it on my PC. But the point that I was trying to make is how similar the layouts are between these two sort of experiences. Even though one's on the phone, one's on the tablet, the layout's almost identical. So the point being, you will author once and then hopefully maybe adjust it a little bit for the mobile device, given the aspect ratios can be dramatically different. But for the most part, we're trying to honor the primary use cases for people on the go. Lastly, a fun little demo that we like to do is the notion that when you're on the go, maybe you're in your car and you'd like perhaps a sort of a summary on the go without, of course, crashing into anything. So for any one of these, you can actually tap and hold and say, listen to podcast. And behind the scenes, we're actually going to generate a podcast that summarizes the content in your dashboard. And so what it does is it cycles through your visualizations, produces narratives.
Welcome to the Oracle Analytics podcast. Let's start by looking at earned premium by insurance policy state. The data represents the earned premium for a total of 21 insurance policy states.
These are different chapters in the podcast. Now I'm looking at overall information.
Let's turn our attention to claims by agent.
I can change to the claims by agent, whatever, you get the point. But the intent here was, when we talk about augmented analytics, a lot of it are sophisticated advanced analytics on the desktop. In this instance, it's something to really simplify your life and just having the system just read to you the most meaningful observations it can make out of any chart. I'll hand it back to you, Ben.
Perfect. It was excellent, Jacques. Thank you so much for joining today. I know I sent you an invite like at the last minute. So again, if anybody wants to speak with Jacques, they can go directly to LinkedIn or follow up by email when you receive the follow-up email tomorrow. I was really happy to see that the app can show the pictures of the dashboard. That it's really cool. And also the podcast. I think we have a lot of questions about that coming. If you want more information, we are very, very active now on our blog. So go to blog.oracle.com/analyticcloud. You will see a lot of technical blog. I think yesterday night we have a new blog about the 5.9 release for Oracle Analytics Server. You can put comment on the blog. You can follow Overlink. We have Philippe, Jacques, other people that are posting nonstop now. Very technical also. We have also one thing to ask more. It's to score the webinar. So I'm going to send a poll right now. And please tell us if you like this webinar, if you want in the future to see different things. You can drop me an email directly at any time you want, and we can figure out if you want to see more about machine learning, more about mobile app, Fusion Analytic Warehouse. So I'm going to let you score the webinar for the next 1 minute. And then we are going to move to the Q&A section. So as usual, we are going to stay here 15 more minutes, for example. You can ask any question, and we have, for example, one specifically for Jacques. Jacques, is the mobile app available with OAS? And I'm going to invite Brandon, Ash, Brett to be back on webcam to answer some of the questions. And all the attendees, you can ask questions in the Q&A, and we will reply to them live. So Jacques, go ahead for the answer.
Yeah, so at launch, it will be available on OAC only. We do have a project slated to explore what the requirements would be or what the technical implementation would be to support OAS deployments. You have to understand that OAS deployments vary from customer to customer. So those are some of the unknowns that we have to sort of better understand. But we do want to find a way to get it to access OAS if at all possible. So that is in the cards, but at launch it will be OAC only. Unfortunately, okay. I have to jump off.
Sure.
I have a meeting at, sorry.
Thanks, Jacques, for joining today. We have a question for maybe Ash. Are RPD can call REST API?
I think probably Brett or Praveen can take it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think at the moment it can. I think Praveen is having a more detailed answer. There are some kind of workarounds that you can do through like a database, but at the moment we have new connections we're adding that will be supporting things like REST APIs that are not available at the moment.
Perfect. And I see Praveen is also answering right now, so we should be good. Another question from Adam Kirchhoff. When will OTBI for Oracle Cloud SaaS be upgraded from 11G to the latest version? And that I'm not sure if maybe Brett or Praveen or Ash can answer that one.
Maybe I'll start, and Brett, if you know, please add to it. So it's I think what I know is it's a big project that we're all working on internally. And it's a huge undertaking if you understand the SaaS install base that we have, and an important one. I don't have any specific timelines that we can share at this point, but Brett, correct me if you have any additional information there.
No specific information on the timeline. You know, it's definitely a work in progress, but no specific information. Yeah.
Perfect. So we have another one, and we have how it's from Arun Chaudhry. How easy or difficult is it to do BYOL, bring your own license, OAS, OBIE to OAC? So I will say I can answer, or maybe Ash, you want to take it, or Praveen maybe?
Praveen?
Yes, you can bring your own licenses to OAC. If you go to OAC pricing, you will see that there is a separate pricing to bring your own licenses to OAC.
Perfect. We have a question from Mike Ferguson. Can OAC use common data name in the business glossary of Oracle catalog to get common data name on all reports and visualizations? So that's, I will say, the data catalog, it's going to be integrated soon. I think we have different ways to do it, but Brett, do you want to take it?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to describe it. And there's an ongoing project to allow better integration between the catalog and OAC. At the moment, no specific things to announce about how that'll work. But the specific capability of aligning reporting names is something that we can follow up with internally to see how that'll map into the solution. I think their focus originally is going to be on discoverability and data sets and things like that.
Perfect. We have a question from Fawad Aziz. Why does DV have a flat file upload limit of 250 megabytes? Is there a plan to increase the limit? And Praveen, do you want to take that one?
So currently the limit is based upon sizing, and that limit is still the same. Brett, any changes in that area are you aware of?
At the moment, we don't have a specific improvement there to make that larger. We have been looking at it. a lot of customers that have these larger files, another related improvement we're looking at is just doing something like object store. When you start loading, 1 and 2 gigabyte files over like a browser connection, it's not very reliable. At the moment, though, we still have the 250 megabyte limit for a file, and to work around that, most customers are, say, doing things like putting data in ADW or something like this.
Perfect. We have a question from Manoj Pandey. Is DV Desktop free with OAS? And that I can take it, or maybe Brandon, do you want to take that one?
Yep. Yes, it is free. DV Desktop is free. No matter if you have OAS or OAC, you can always download it from the OAC library or from the oracle.com/analytics site.
Perfect. We have a question from Massimo Pinto. You speak about pixel perfect improvement. Is on email alert analytic classic too? So do we have improvement on email alert for classic side? And maybe
I think I was probably in relation to an answer that I typed in. I don't think there's any change to the email template itself. That is still kind of more of a basic HTML capability. They'd be interested in what the scenarios you're looking for, and we can put that maybe in Idea Lab. That would be great to see out there.
Excellent. We have a question on the reference knowledge from, okay, there is no full name, but can we add security on top of reference knowledge?
Not at the moment. So if you're using that, it should be something that is cross company type of information, that if someone uploads a file or creates a new data set and they see that, it is something that they can see. You shouldn't have anything that can't be used across your organization. It's definitely something we're looking at in the roadmap. What our concept is that at some point that reference knowledge can be stored in things like tables and ADW, and then just enriched through the profiler. And when we get to that mode, then we'll have some more options for things like security.
Excellent. We have a question from Jenny Peng. I will take that one. We currently use OAC. How can we get the OAC mobile app experiment? So this app is going to be released, I think, in the coming month, maybe next month, something like that. Jack is going to confirm. But as soon as the app is available, you just download the app, you connect it with a magic URL to your instance, and you have directly access to it. If you want to be on the beta program, I can connect you with Jacques, and you can maybe make a test in the coming weeks. But it's very easy, and you should be able to see it in the coming month. We have another question from Nataraja. Is there a plan to give option in DV module of OAC to build complex DV using SQL functions in data flow, or a SQL builder option for DV in future? Praveen, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, so with the new dataset advanced features, where you can include multiple tables in a dataset, there's also we'll have had this option where you can input your own SQL to create dataset tables. So that in turn allows you to the capability to specify the functions you need as part of the SQL. With regard to a SQL builder itself, we need to see the whole purpose of the current challenge is that you can only add one table to a data set, but in future you have the option to add multiple tables, which in turn provides a drag and drop way of adding tables and then selecting columns. That in turn is the equivalent of a SQL builder or a model builder. So there is no immediate plans just for the SQL itself as a SQL, provide a SQL builder capability.
Thank you.
Yeah, we would be interested if there's some, an Idea Lab, if there's some specific scenarios there that people are looking for.
Excellent. We have another question from Mike Ferguson. Is it possible, or are there any plan to combine machine learning and graph analytics to predict if a community is growing or shrinking? I'm going to say that yes, you can start to do that in data flow. Now combining, Brett, you can take that one.
Yeah, I think at the moment, that's probably not something we'll have out of the box, although I think it's an interesting scenario specifically. I think as we do more of these advanced features, we'll start to look at ways to make them easier, like we have done with things like time series forecasting and stuff like that. But at the moment, I think it's what Ben was alluding to. We would like to see you guys try these kind of experiments, and then we're happy to support you if you're trying to get these things done, and we can come up with some great examples.
Excellent. So we have another question from Vishal, and maybe that one is for Ash also. Do we have plan to give scheduler-like agent for report created in DS? I think DS, it's maybe DV. So Ash, do you want to take that one?
Probably defer to Brett.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a set of backlog. Pravin and I have been talking about this recently. We have a set of backlog of these, I think, list ag, of a set of other ones that we're looking at to make easy to do. We'll definitely adding some of these in the short run. We don't have anything to announce today specifically, but yeah, we do want to get. There's a lot of power in the database that we still haven't leveraged yet, and we're just slowly tackling the ones that are a little bit harder to use. One thing that a lot of customers do is they will do the custom SQL option that Pravin was mentioning, and you can do more complex operations today, and then just use those as the basis of the data set.
Okay, and I know that if Jacques was here, he will tell that we are working right now on the conditional formatting, which was a prerequisite to have basically the email alert, because as you know, we want you to be able to do some conditional alert, and that is going to be released, I think, in the coming months. And after that, we can build the alert for DB. We have a question. Do we have from Arun? Do you have industry-specific analytics solution? And that one is for Ash for sure.
Yes, I think that's at this point we don't have any industry-specific analytic applications, but we are in conversations with some of the teams within Oracle who focus on industry-specific solutions. There are some offerings already in place when you talk about utilities, retail, but from an FAW standpoint, we are not really focusing on industry-specific application. I would say this is also a great opportunity for our partners at this point, right? FAW is a fairly open architecture where we think that partners can provide industry-specific insights as a layer on top of the generic horizontal KPIs that we provide.
Perfect. We have another question from Nataraha, looking for SQL function like lag, lead, calls, and etc. in data flow. Any plan for such function in the roadmap? And I will say that right now we have in OAS the ability to put some script in R or Python, but maybe Brett, you can tell if we are going to have advanced SQL functionality directly.
Yeah, and I kind of crossed up those two answers, but yeah, that's basically the same strategy. We'll keep adding more advanced things to data flows over time. And I think if you have specific ones you're interested in, I think that we already have a few good examples on Idea Lab. So look in there, maybe upvote those, and we'll use that for the stack ranking.
Perfect. I'm going to take the next one about machine learning. Is there any plan to upload, integrate ML model built using R Python on OAC, which can be further used for visualization purpose in OAC? Right now, if you use Oracle Analytics Cloud with ADW, Autonomous Database, you can load automatically and create your machine learning model using R, Python, directly in ADW, and then use and register the machine learning model in OAC and start to use it in your data visualization. So that's yes. Now, if you don't have an autonomous database, you can still do it because there is a free tier for autonomous database. So you can do a free tier of the database, do your Python model there and load it. Let's go to the next one. Can we, are there plans to provide a connector from DV to the multi-dimensional planning analytic engine in Oracle SAS for real-time reporting use case? We want to take that one.
I can probably take it. I think I'm not exactly sure what that connector looks like. I know, we already have connectors to like EPM and things like that. The specific engine within SAS, I'm not exactly sure that's implemented. So I think it's something we had to follow up on.
Okay.
Yeah, and Brett, I would just say that I think I think the connector that you were talking about, which is the self-service connector to EPM. I think it addresses the need that we have from a user standpoint. We think that should be sufficient. I'm not sure if I'm missing anything there.
Okay. We have another question from James Palmisano. Can we support real-time IoT sensor data transmit that are embedded into a report, thermal, performance, medical? So I'm going to start answer that one. You can use Oracle streaming to stream data directly, or you can stream data using also Autonomous Data Warehouse. And then with a version 6.0, inside the DV project, you will have the ability to connect to any data source and activate an option to stream and to basically auto-refresh the dashboard every second, every minute, every hour. So that is going to come. And maybe Brett or Praveen, you want to chime in?
Yeah, no, I think that's the pattern I would use. Definitely most of the customers I've worked with that have done that scenario usually land the data in some system that they can use for other kinds of analysis. ADW is great if you're going to be doing, say, machine learning on top of the streaming data and things like that. So yeah, that's the pattern I would use to create a live connection to that source. And then, typical latency of a query, less than a few seconds from coming through this, coming in from the stream and landing in the ADW to the live query can be less than a few seconds.
Okay, we have a question from Manoj, and that is going to be maybe for Barry Moster. What is the approach to share a DV project to customer for pre-built story?
Yeah, sure. So once you've built the DV project and you published it, you actually have the ability to use the project structure, the file structure within OAC to push this to a public area, which makes it available to everybody. And actually, Brendan showed earlier the ability to then assign the rights around the roles or the users or the groups. So if you create that project centrally and then assign the users access to it, that's how you can share those stories out to a bigger group audience.
Perfect. We have another question from Mike Ferguson. Can EPM use machine learning model in Autonomous Data Warehouse to enable more accurate planning? So Mike, yes, I mean, EPM, you cannot, I don't think you can load a machine learning model inside ePBCS, PBCS. I'm not totally sure of that. We have to check it. But what I know is that we have a lot of customers in FP&A taking data from EPM, pushing this data in OAC, taking data from Autonomous Data Warehouse, creating a machine learning model to basically forecast better and do some using other drivers. They push all of that into the same data set inside Oracle Analytics Cloud to basically make a better forecast. So we have a huge organization in the insurance doing that. We have also a lot of retailers doing that in terms of pricing. So the answer is yes, but now if you ask if you can use the ML model and ingest that directly in ePBCS, we will have to follow up with the EPM team on that.
Hey, Ben, can I just add one comment to that? So just one more thing that you may want to check out is EPM Automate. That's a component of EPM which allows you a combination of EPM Automate and ODI will allow you to extract data from EPM and push it into ADW. And once the data is in ADW, then obviously you have all the capabilities within ADW available to you.
Good one. Okay. And we have, I think, a last question now from Jenny Pang. Is there any customer you work with using ADW hybrid, I think, partition? And that may be for you also, Ash.
I do not know about the ADW hybrid option. Brett or Barry?
I can probably tackle it. I don't know if Praveen has some more specific detail. I know I've worked with several customers using external tables, which I think is related to the hybrid partition implementation approach. What happens in practice is if you could run the SQL query in ADW and ADW leverages a hybrid partition, that's a kind of conceptually the same way that OAC interacts with this. So if you think about it, what OAC does is it reaches out to DW. It's basically issuing a SQL query. So any of the power of the hybrid partitions or external tables and those kinds of features, JSON mounted as a table, those features can be leveraged from OAC, and then we see them as sort of columns and tables in our queries. So reach out to us if you're having an issue with that or see that, but I'm pretty sure the scenarios that I've seen are the same as that question. So I think it should work, yes.
Excellent. I think we have no more questions. So we answered almost 40 of them. So thank you so much all for joining today. Thank you to Brett, Ash, Barry, Brandon, and all the rest of the team for joining. We have this webinar every month. So if you want to see something else, let us know. Remember something very important for us, it's Gartner Peer Insight. If you have 5 minutes of time, just go put us like a 5-star or something like that for Oracle Analytics Cloud, Oracle Analytics Server, or Fusion Analytics Warehouse. It's really helping us to develop more features and to understand what you want. So again, thanks all for joining today, and have a good rest of the week and also a good weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.